Don Quixote by Miguel de Cervantes, the hilarious and groundbreaking first half of what's often called the greatest novel ever written. Published in 1605, this part stands alone as a complete story. It introduces the delusional knight Don Quixote and his faithful squire, Sancho Panza, and takes them on a series of wild, funny, and thoughtful misadventures. Cervantes wrote it partly to poke fun at the over-the-top chivalric romances that were popular back then, stories full of perfect knights, enchanted castles, and impossible quests. This video gives you an easy-to-follow summary of Part 1, the main characters, key events, and why it's so special. Everything is explained simply, with no spoilers beyond what happens in this first book. If you've never read it, this will get you fully up to speed. Let's jump in. A quick note on Cervantes. Miguel de Cervantes was a Spanish soldier and writer whose own life was full of drama. He fought in battles, was captured by pirates and held captive for years, and struggled financially. He wrote Don Quixote in his 50s, and it became an instant hit. The full title is The Ingenious Gentleman Don Quixote of La Mancha. Cervantes uses humor and irony to show how reading too many fantasy stories can blur the line between dreams and reality. Meet the hero, Don Quixote. The story starts with Alonso Quijano, a skinny, middle-aged gentleman from a small village in La Mancha, Spain. He's not rich or important, just an ordinary guy who loves reading old books about knights errant. He reads so many of these chivalric romances that he loses his mind. He decides the stories are true history and the world needs a real knight to bring back honor and justice. So he renames himself Don Quixote de la Mancha, cleans up some ancient family armor that's falling apart, finds a barber's basin to use as a helmet, and names his bony old farm horse Rocinante, thinking it sounds noble. He also invents a lady love named Dulcinea del Toboso, based on a local farm girl he barely knows. He'll dedicate all his victories to her, like knights in the stories. Finally, he sets out alone to seek adventures and right wrongs. Don Quixote's first trip, his first sally. On his first short adventure, things go wrong fast, but in funny ways. He stops at an inn he believes is a castle. The innkeeper plays along and knights him in a silly ceremony. Two women working there, whom he sees as noble ladies, help with the ritual. Soon after, he rescues a boy being whipped by his master, but makes things worse. He attacks some merchants who won't swear that Dulcinea is the most beautiful woman ever. They beat him up. Badly injured, he's found and brought home by a neighbor. His friends and family burn most of his night books, hoping he'll snap out of it. But Don Quixote is determined. Enter Sancho Panza. For his second, bigger adventure, Don Quixote recruits a squire, a chubby, honest farmer named Sancho Panza. Sancho is practical, loves eating and sleeping, and speaks in funny proverbs like, "A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush." He's the total opposite of dreamy Don Quixote. Don Quixote promises Sancho riches and even an island to govern if he joins. Sancho isn't sure his master is sane, but he's tempted by the promise of reward. He leaves his wife and kids and rides off on his donkey. Their friendship becomes the heart of the story. Don Quixote talks in grand poetic speeches. Sancho answers with simple, earthy wisdom. They balance each other perfectly. The major adventures in Part 1. Now the real fun begins. Don Quixote sees the world through his knightly fantasies, while reality keeps crashing in. Here are the most famous episodes. 1. The Windmills, the iconic scene. Don Quixote spots 30 windmills on a plain and declares they are giants. Sancho tries to tell him they're just windmills, but Don Quixote charges anyway, shouting about fortune favoring the bold. His lance breaks. He gets knocked off his horse, but he blames an evil enchanter for turning the giants back into windmills. 2. The sheep armies. Later, he sees 2 huge flocks of sheep kicking up dust and decides they are rival armies. He charges in to help one side. The shepherds throw stones and knock him down. Sancho calls him crazy, but Don Quixote insists magic is at work. 3. The funeral procession. They meet mourners in black carrying a body. Don Quixote thinks they're evil knights kidnapping a princess and attacks. Chaos ensues. 4. Freeing the prisoners. Don Quixote stops a chain of galley slaves being marched to punishment. He frees them in the name of justice. The grateful criminals thank him by robbing him and Sancho and running away. 5. The inn. Castle, Misadventures. At another inn, which he again sees as a castle, things get wild. A carrier tries to water his mules, moving Rocinante. Don Quixote attacks. Later, in the dark, he mistakes wineskins hanging in the room for giants and slashes them, soaking everything in wine. 6. The blanket. Tossing. One of the funniest moments. Pranksters at the inn toss Sancho high in a blanket like a game. Don Quixote can only watch helplessly. 7. The fulling mills. At night, they hear loud hammering. Don Quixote thinks it's a quest calling him, but it's just mills pounding cloth. Sancho can't stop laughing. There are many more small encounters with merchants, goat herders, priests, and travelers. Some people mock Don Quixote, some play along, some beat him up when his heroism causes trouble. Through it all, Don Quixote stays noble and kind-hearted. He truly believes he's doing good, even when he's clearly wrong. Key ideas in Part 1. Even though it's packed with comedy, Part 1 explores big questions. Dreams versus reality. Don Quixote's imagination makes ordinary things magical, but it also brings pain and ridicule. Madness and kindness. Is Don Quixote crazy, or is his idealism a kind of wisdom? The sane world often seems cruel. Friendship. Across classes, a gentleman and a poor farmer become true companions. The power of books. Stories can inspire us, but taking them too literally can be dangerous. Cervantes uses lots of humor and irony to make us laugh while thinking. How Part 1 ends. After many beatings and mishaps, Don Quixote and Sancho decide to head home for a while to recover. But friends from the village find them first. They trick Don Quixote into a cage on a cart, telling him it's an enchantment he must endure for a quest. He's brought home in the cage like a captured animal, while villagers laugh and stare. Part 1 closes with Don Quixote still dreaming of future adventures, hinting there's more to come. Final thoughts on Part 1. Part 1 of Don Quixote is pure joy. Hilarious, action-packed, and surprisingly deep. It's a celebration of imagination while gently showing its limits. Cervantes created characters we still love 400 years later. Part 1 is about 500 pages, perfect for starting the journey. Thank you for watching.